Hey guys, welcome to a Q&A video where I'm going to take your questions from Instagram and I'm going to answer them here. Let's get started. Alright, first question I have is, how old were you when you started parkour, and what was it that made you realize that this is what you wanted to do with your life? Excellent question, and what I'm going to do with that one is I had a lot of questions that were the same sort of thing, so I'm just going to give you the whole background on why I got started and how it became my life. I did gymnastics when I was a kid from ages 7 to 14. I quit. I tried out some other sports like snowboarding and a little bit of weightlifting here and there. For the most part, I didn't really exercise. I started coaching at the gymnastics gym that I did gymnastics at. I met my current boyfriend, David Diaz, and he did parkour. Maybe to impress him or something, I did a Webster one day, and then I kind of fell in love with the idea of challenging myself enough to learn these new skills, just like I once had in gymnastics. Kept learning and loving it. It was just down the road. I lived in China, which we'll get into later, but I lived in China and I did a competition there and I took second place overall out of everybody. I really put my heart and soul into parkour, like maybe I could be really good at it. That was how I knew I wanted to do it from there. Basic, very short answer. Who can do parkour better, you or your cat? Alright, so I'll put in some footage of Jackson, and I guess you guys can sort of answer this for me, but I feel like if he trained as often as I do, then he would be way better than me, but he only trains very so often. Bye! How long have you been doing parkour, and where are you from? So I've been doing parkour for, oh my goodness, it's been 8 years, and I started that back when I lived in Port Orchard, Washington, and that's where I'm originally from. What has been the hardest trick or combo to learn? Recently I did a video on where I was trying to do a combo which was a Raiden to palm flip, and that was so difficult, it took me forever. It only took me one day though. Like, most of my other tricks take me a lot longer, so the hardest trick for me to learn was a cork. It took me at least 5 years to understand it and be able to do it every time. Now I can cork on both sides, so I'm really happy with that, and just don't ever give up. Good day, Sydney. Which athlete or athletes do you look up to? Good day to you too. I'm so lucky to be surrounded by so many amazing and incredible athletes that are constantly challenging themselves and pushing themselves, which is basically what I aspire to do every day. I can't even put my name on just one athlete. Obviously, a big homie of mine is Jesse LaFleur, probably the person that I train with the most, so he inspires me every day. A lot of times it's Dom because of how much he trains and how much he's pushing himself, which I love. People like Pasha who have such a unique style, or Bart because of his confidence. Everyone that trains pretty much inspires me. As a professional parkour athlete, where exactly do you get your income from? Most of my YouTube videos don't actually make that much money yet, so I'm just doing that purely for fun right now. As far as making a living as an athlete, I have 2 sponsorships. One's Tempest Free Running and the other is Yokohama Tire. They pay me monthly to create content, and that pays all of my bills. Find work in TVs, commercials, all of that in order to do extra stuff. Every time I book a job or stunt job or anything, that's kind of how I'm making my extra money to be able to do more fun things. Since you guys are always asking, because everyone's like, oh, you seem to travel so much, where are you getting the money to do that? A lot of these places that I'm traveling to have actually been paid for by the company that I'm working for, so most of the time I don't even have to pay for it, so that's really cool, and if I did, I'd probably be in trouble. What is your process in learning new moves that really scare you, and any pointers on wall tricks in general? I really love the idea of learning a new move. It just kind of really excites me to the point where I wouldn't back down from that challenge. Whenever I come up with a move that I want to try, I put it in my brain, I'm like, okay, I want to try this, and I'm going to work up to it today, so I'll probably take it in the gym, do a bunch of progressions for it, whatever that may be. Just eventually find the courage to go for it on a mat or whatever. You've probably done it in the foam pit several times, and you just take it to a mat. Eventually you just get that good enough to where you can take it to concrete. It's just kind of like the idea and the mentality of having a challenge that you love and that you're so excited about, and just working through that fear is just a really cool thing that we get to do in our sport in order to get better. Wall tricks, I would just say, they're so much fun. I don't have any specific advice for what to do with your feet or your arms or anything. Get crazy on that wall, I absolutely love wall tricks. They're probably my favorite kinds of moves to do. Are you in school or college? Nope. Actually, okay, so a little backstory on that. I was going to college to become a nurse and dropped out. Basically, I decided I was going to become a nursing assistant for a while to see if I even liked that, and if I liked that, I was going to continue with the education. It just wasn't really my thing. I wasn't super passionate about it. What is your average workday like? If I'm working, it's usually on a commercial or a TV job, so that usually just kind of takes up my whole day. Normal day, I have a bulletproof coffee, and then I'll go to the gym. I will train for a couple hours, I'll lift weights, sometimes I go outside to train, it just all sort of depends on the day. I do boxing sometimes at the end of the day, so I'll do that with David. Which brings me to the next question. Have you ever done any martial arts stuff, And if not, would you like to? Lately, I've been taking judo classes, which has been really, really fun for me, but I actually have, I think, about 6 months experience doing wushu. What is your favorite Olympic lift? Honestly, lately, I love doing power cleans and hang cleans. They're such a good way to measure your strength, and I really feel like it improves my jumps a lot, especially when you do a set of the cleans and then you go do like 10 precisions that are really, really far. It helps so much. Have you ever thought about quitting? If yes, why? I don't think there was ever really a time where I thought about quitting, but there was a time where I was super discouraged and wasn't really sure if I could do this. After I broke my hand right after moving to Los Angeles, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can handle this place or this life or whatever. Then it's just really important to realize all of these things that we're doing, it's so temporary, and you're not gonna be in pain forever, you're not gonna be struggling forever. There's always gonna be ups and downs, and you just gotta push through whatever it is that you're going through. So parkour is such a complex sport, there's always so many things that you can get better at, and so that can either discourage you or it can motivate you to train, and for me, it definitely motivates me, so there's never been a real time where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Are you ever comparing your strength and ability with boys? Yes, I do compare myself with the guys sometimes. I don't ever limit myself, so I train with a lot of guys. That's like totally my normal people that I train with is mostly men. If they're working like on a super massive precision, I'll try to see if I can do it just for fun. A lot of times I surprise myself. I'm like, okay, like I could keep up. Totally compare myself in the most fun way possible. Is there a flip or trick that you got kind of addicted to doing? One of my favorite ones to do, because I'm still not great at it yet, step up wall round off with a full twist. I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's so complicated and so complex that as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, and there's so many like steps to it that it seriously, like, it slows down in my brain and I have to think of like each thing one by one. So as of right now, that's the one that I'm sort of addicted to doing. Pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? I don't really like it. It's just not my thing. I know that some people like it and they can do that. I'm not gonna hate you for it, but yeah, I'm not really a fan. Worst injury or fall you've acquired over the years from your passion? I'm gonna say the worst fall that I've had is 2 days before the Red Bull Art of Motion in Santorini, Greece, and I don't even have footage from this, which I'm so sad about because I don't even remember what happened. I landed a trick. I'm just gonna show you in this clip. I was doing a rise full and I landed on this mat like so, but on this take in particular, like I stepped off the mat and it slid, and then somehow I ended up falling by that staircase and then fell backwards onto my head from like 6 feet of height. That one knocked me out. It was such a strange thing to have happen. Like, I never actually really told you guys this story, and I feel like it's a really important one to know because it kind of changed my life completely. I got knocked out, and I was laying there, and all these people are coming around me, like, Sydney, are you okay? And I'm just kind of laughing it off. No idea what just happened. All I remember was taking off for the move, so I figured I just kind of messed up the move. They explained to me what happened, and I just started sobbing. I'm like, oh my god, like I couldn't even control myself, and they immediately sent me to the hospital because that's like verbatim sign of a concussion, like when you're just like all over the place. And obviously I had to pull out of the competition, and that made me really sad. It wasn't really my choice. I tried to compete anyway. I think just because of the timing, that was like a really bad situation to be in. Ended up getting post-concussion syndrome from it. This whole big thing that just ended up really kind of like, for a minute there, I sort of thought it ruined my life a little bit. Actually, I learned a lot of really cool life lessons from it, being totally present in the moment. The year before, like when I went to Santorini, it was all about the competition. Like, I didn't even think about the fact that I was in Greece, and like so many people in my life have wanted to go there, and I'm just there and I'm competing, but that's what I was thinking about, was competing. I wasn't even thinking about how cool it was that I was in Santorini. So it like helped clean up my diet, and it just kind of ended up being like a really good thing for me because I learned, like I said, I just learned so much from it. I'm not mad about it anymore. Which parkour freerunning competition do you most like? Obviously, I really love doing the Red Bull Art of Motion, and I got to compete in air whip for the first time, and that was really fun. I was thinking about this competition lately, and it's the Sky Ladder Challenge in Zhangjiajie, China. I think that was probably just my favorite one because it was such an iconic location to get to go and compete down this mountain that was absolutely insane. Such an amazing memory of my life, so I think that was probably my favorite competition. I hope so much that we get to do it again. What's the scariest thing you've ever done? Also, beautiful photo. Thank you. Scariest thing that I've ever done was probably, I can't decide if it was moving to China when I was 20 years old or moving to LA like a year and a half after that. It's so daunting getting to move to a different city, especially a different country, and not know the language and all of that, but you know, you figure it out. And So it ended up not being so scary, but I just remember having that feeling like for months on end before it where I'm like, oh my god, why am I doing this? How do you get out of stagnation when you get burnt out? That's a great question. When I get burnt out, I just sort of like take a step back and I evaluate why that has happened. I feel like I get burnt out when my training gets a little bit too regimented, so I just try to mix it up and like maybe work more jumps that day or more flips, try a new combo or something. It kind of goes the same with bad training days where sometimes you need to learn to walk away. And I'm the worst person about this because when I see a challenge and I'm working on it and I'm getting close to it, I cannot stop. I will go until I either make it or physically cannot move anymore. So I get like emotional about these challenges. I invest everything I have into them. What'll happen is I'll work so hard on it and I won't get anywhere with it and just feel really terrible. So trying to have a maximum amount of tries with certain moves. If I don't get it by then, move on and do it a different day. There's always going to be another day to learn these tricks. It's the long run. I've been doing this for 8 years and I'm going to continue doing this as long as I possibly can. If you're feeling burnt out, you probably won't always feel that way. Take a step back, reevaluate, figure out what you need to do. What's the most trouble by security or police you've ever gotten in for training? My friends and I were training in Bremerton, Washington, and I remember we were like training near this rail or something that was already broken. We kind of like pushed on it and realized it was broken, so we didn't train on it. We were training like around that area, and then we left. Policemen followed us, just started drilling us with a bunch of questions. What were you doing up there? We saw you destroying public property. We have photos of you. Just insane because I didn't know what to do. And so, obviously they didn't have photos of it, and it's just this whole crazy thing, and I'm just trying to explain what we're doing to them, and it just didn't look good. The rail was already broken, so just always be careful in those situations. How do you deal with comparing yourself to others? I've been doing parkour for 1 year now and I'm still very new. Sometimes I find it discouraging when a brand new beginner is able to get a skill on the first try that I've been working on for months and don't quite have it yet. Does that happen to you? And if so, how do you deal with it? I feel like I used to compare myself to others a lot more, but honestly I just don't really do it anymore. Comparing yourself to others is such a waste of you as a person. When you compare yourself to others, it takes away from what you could be putting into yourself. When I compare myself to someone else and get kind of down about it, I actually just think about how small we are as people and how we're not going to live forever. This is like, why is this mattering? It's such a dumb thing. It's just such a stupid little thing to be concerned about. Whenever that happens, just realize how silly it is. Appreciate who you are. You know, learn how to love yourself so that you can love all these other people that are getting this tricks first try and be like, you know what, good for you. Also just remember, everybody has a different background story. Everybody comes from something else. So, you know, you can't really compare yourself. You just can't. Are you joining AOM this year? Well, I definitely am going to try, and I'm really stoked to make my submission video, and yeah, I really hope it works out. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any more questions, you can ask them below in the comments, and I'll probably just type in the answers and all that. If you have any ideas for videos that you would like to see from me, please let me know. Bye!